trade and investment on 2 occasions, and also caused publications in national dailies inviting the ministry to come forward and defend the expenditure of a sum of 75 billion naira received from the federal government of Nigeria's COVID intervention fund. You will recall, two honorable colleagues, that upon the refusal of the ministry to cause appearance, the committee raised a motion and adopted that motion in line with next relevant paragraphs of the financial regulations, that the ministry refunds the total sum which it received to the federal government, because it appeared that there were no explanations to justify those expenditure. Shortly after that resolution by this committee, the permanent secretary of the ministry reached out to me and requested that the committee grant him and his team an audience on this matter. And I agreed that the audience be granted today. Meanwhile, while responding to the letter of request which the permanent secretary sent on the 23rd of January, the committee asked that in coming for the presentation, the permanent secretary should make a written submission on the expenditure of the sum of monies in question and submit same before the close of work on Monday, 5th of February 2024. Well, on Saturday, 10th of February, which is 5 clear days after the deadline for the submission, they came with a submission which I also instructed the head of the secretariat to receive. I have the submission here with me. Unfortunately, also, because it was submitted on Saturday, we have not been able to do due process and analysis on this document for members to have copies. But I still feel that since we have slated them for appearance this morning, it will be good for us to at least open the interaction. So this is without prejudice to whatever the committee may decide on the earlier resolution which was duly carried, asking that the ministry refunds that sum of money, 75 billion naira, to the coffers of the federal government. So, honorable colleagues, that is the preamble on why we are here today with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. But traditionally, what we should do first is to put the permanent secretary and any other person that may need to speak in this investigative hearing either on oath or affirmation, which I will ask the secretariat to administer. You have the choice of taking any of the holy books. We have the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible with us here. You can decide to take any, or you can decide to affirm. Whichever one you choose to do has the same implication in the eye of the law. So, Permanent Secretary, we would like to have your opening remarks, especially with regards to the fact that your ministry had been invited on a few occasions and you didn't cause appearance to be made before this constitutional committee. And if you have any other opening remark that you want to make before we go into discussing the status of your appearance today and then taking the decision going forward. You can draw that microphone closer to yourself. It can actually come closer.
Thank you very much, Chairman and respected members in the ministry. But, of course, it is now my duty to ensure that the ministry appeared and also make this representation. Mr. Chairman, sir, the ministry holds this committee with the highest regards. And I must also apologize for making our representation later than it should have been. This is due to the fact that while I'm new, we also have to get some of the people who were in office while the Survival Fund scheme was disbursed. Mr. Chairman, sir, on the 1st of July 2020, the then President Muhammad Buhari...
No, before you go into that, please. The preamble you just made is what I will need members to first react on.
Okay.
We need to take a decision on whether we are even allowing you to make any presentation. So, honorable colleagues, you just had the permanent secretary, and if you have any comment, question, or observation to make, please. Honorable Basi Akiba.
Thank you, Chairman of Committee. Thank you, Chairman of Committee, distinguished colleagues. Again, my name is Basi Akiba. I speak for Kala Municipality, Odubai Federal Constituency. Mr. Chairman, I'm happy that they've asked the ministry to pause at this moment. And let us even look at the issue of whether or not that we should even listen to the ministry. And that for me is very important. I was actually the mover of that motion because for me, it was a clear case of disregard for the House, for the committee, for the National Assembly. A clear case of disregard for National Assembly and for this committee. And that's why I moved that motion, that having given this ministry this number of times to appear and they fail to appear, it shows clearly that the ministry do not have anything to say about the expenditure of this money. It shows clearly, and that's why I moved that motion. And that motion was duly seconded, and that motion was passed by this committee. And I'm sure that if not because of the break that we had, that the House would have considered, that position of the committee, that the National Assembly would have considered that position of the budget. I'm sure if not because of the break. So, having come here this morning, and because when I first saw Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment on our schedule, I was thinking that we were looking at a few other things outside COVID. I was looking at, maybe we are looking at issues concerning auditor general queries on that ministry, or queries on that ministry for a certain year or something. I was looking at that, but when I look at this schedule this morning, it was still COVID. I do not think that's very proper going by our own practice. That if a house has ruled on a matter, that we need to bring it back again. Maybe because of the magnanimity of the chairman, that the chairman has granted based on some approach and all that he will come. Again, there's a background here that the chairman has said that yes, before you appear, do a written submission, which was, again, was abnormal. For a matter that has been ruled by a committee, do a written submission. I mean, the chairman was just trying to be kind. Let's still give him fair hearing. Even when we have ruled, honestly, it would have been something that, I'm sorry, Chairman, it would have been something that we need to discuss and consider whether or not we should even rescind our decision before we even start asking for any document or anything. But the chairman, out of his own way of, trying to assist, trying to hear, trying to give you fair hearing, said, bring a document. As you speak that, Chairman, by our rule, I have a right to have a copy of whatever that is submitted. But when I ask the chairman, it's only one copy that is submitted. It's only just one copy that is submitted, we don't know. So my question here, sir, is, Chairman, I just want to train back to the ministry. Why do the ministry think that we should reconsider our position on this matter? Why do they think that we should reconsider our position that, look, the ministry, because I was thinking the ministry is coming here to tell us, yes, they have paid back the money to CRF, and this is the receipt. But I'm surprised they are talking something else. So if that still wants the committee to go back to that, so my question is that why do they think that we should, go back to the matter that we have concluded that if not because of the break, it should have been before the House, and the House would have considered and passed. And we are going. So why is the ministry think that we should consider it, that we should rescind our decision on this issue and then look at it again? So, my chairman, that's my position for now.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Honorable Waive.
Thank you very much, Able Chair, for recognizing me to speak on this. Just like my colleague said, I was shocked to see Federal Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment listed because by our rules, once a motion has been passed and you want to go back and look at that matter, there must be another motion to rescind that first decision that had been reached before you can now visit the matter. Mr. Chairman, to the best of my knowledge, that motion to rescind that decision has not been moved and passed by this committee and therefore by the House. So if that is not done, the next thing the rules expect is that law enforcement will be energized or empowered to go ahead and implement the decision of that motion. That is without prejudice to the fact that he said he's 3 weeks old in office, and within the 3 weeks could have at least sent a letter to explain that there's a change of baton or not. But now we are in that critical situation where we have already taken a decision. If the chairman in his magnanimity would say that we should move a motion to rescind that, then we might consider that. But as it were, where we stand right now is that the decision had been taken. And I would want to mention, use the opportunity to mention to MDAs, that when we invite you, it is the 200 million Nigerians that are inviting you. Without a legislature, there is no democracy. Representative democracy is the legislature. So each of the 200 million Nigerians, plus or minus, are represented on this table as we speak. And you are not on your own to carry 75 billion naira COVID funds and spend as you like. There must be accountability in our system. And that accountability is what we are now here to do. So it's your responsibility to come and make that explanation before the Parliament. That is the requirement of the law. In fact, in the Constitution, the Parliament comes before the executive and even before the judiciary. It's just that our democracy is young, and in every time when there is interruption in democracy, the legislature is the first casualty. So we have not been able to grow the institution. Otherwise, in other parts of the world, the Capitol Hill, for example, is legislature that is number one. And the same thing in the UK and other parts of the world. So I want to appeal that we take the legislature with the seriousness it deserves. There are people among us who have retired from civil service. There are architects, chartered accountants, lawyers, university professors, medical doctors, clergymen. You go on and on. We have an vice marshal on this very committee. So people who are experienced, lawyers, chartered accountants. So the idea that it's just the National Assembly, I think the time has come in this 10th Assembly where we should follow the law to its conclusion, send the correct signals. 75 billion, for example, was given as COVID intervention for XYZ, and they have no account of how they spent it. And what's my evidence that they had no account? 1, 2, 3 invitations, they didn't show up. So based on that, the law enforcement goes on. The rules are clear. No more funding. And then those officers involved, they are arrested and they face the law. The law gives us the power to issue the warrant of arrest. I'm trying to make all these things clear so that we know the precarious situation this failure to appear has placed us in. But having said that, the chairman has the prerogative at this moment to suggest or instruct that the motion be moved to rescind the decision. Otherwise, that decision stands, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. The permanent secretary, you are required to make a submission of a complete set of your documents latest by Monday 19th of February 2024. And after examining your documents, we may then decide to give you a date for your oral presentation accordingly. So, is there any comments or question you have, please, before we excuse you for the day?
Honorable Chairman, respected honorable members, I must thank you for being lenient and to request that you continue to be lenient with us. Honorable Chairman, as I said earlier, we hold the National Assembly with the highest respect. There's no doubt in my mind that this institution represents the best, and this 10th Assembly, if anything, is out there to make sure that the general public is not shortchanged. So I must applaud you for making sure that you stand, and you stand firm in making sure that any money appropriated to anybody is accounted for. There's no witch hunt. It is just to make sure that the general public is not shortchanged. And we in the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment are committed to ensure that we give all the documents that are required as far as the MSME Survival Fund scheme is concerned. Thank you once more for giving us the opportunity to go back and make our representation. And I can assure you that we'll do all that is required to make sure that we comply, and we comply fully. We have utmost respect for you once more, Honorable Chairman and respected members. Thank you very much.
Permanent Secretary, let me also add that on your next appearance, we want to have the Managing Director of the Bank of Industry personally in attendance, and not a representative from that bank, because from indications, I think they are supposed to have played a key role in the management of this fund. So the Managing Director of the Bank of Industry is expected to be here in person on your next date of appearance, which will be communicated to you. But you have up till Monday of next week, 3 p.m. to make your full submission. Thank you.